What is up, you muffin munching muggles? Welcome to Fiction and Reality. Invincible Season 4 Episode 6 just steamrolled out, where Oliver's daddy issues burst into the light, all while Mark recovers from having his Saltras links pulled out by Conquistador. And let's just say the bug diet wasn't that helpful in easing the tension between father and son. Let's explore the core themes illustrated in this episode of Invincible Season 4, including how Omni-Man's internal unrest with discovering empathy and his irreconcilable differences with his baby mama and the bug side piece on the shoulder fissured the relationship between him and Oliver, uncovering the cost of sacrifice and war between the Galactic Coalition and General Thragg and his army of Viltrumites. It's rare we get to see Oliver and Omni-Man chop it up in Invincible Season 4, but with Mark rolling the weenies back in his stomach while on the verge of taking a dirt nap, we uncover just how fragile the bonds between father and son really are as a result of Omni-Man's lack of presence in nurturing Oliver and his growing venture with understanding and learning the framework of empathy and also shedding the brutal aspects of the Viltrumite culture. For example, one of the first scenes we're met with is Omni-Man hovering over the memorial he dug for conquest to honor his dedication and loyalty to the Viltrum Empire and the veracity of his combat fighting skills. Now you have to remember, Omni-Man has been alive for over 1,000 years and been wrung through the gauntlet of the violent Viltrumite culture of brutality and weighing the worth of others' lives in tandem with their strength or capability to cull the weak. Omni-Man respects Conquest as one of Viltrum's greatest and strongest warriors, as being loyal to Viltrum's cause no matter the cost was what was considered to be the epitome of what it meant to be a Viltrumite. Oliver appears rageful at the fact that Omni-Man would even think to have given Conquistador a sound burial, having seen all the sweet things he's whispered in Mark's ear after beating the crap out of him back at Earth. Culture is deeply seated within the individual and projects the lens through which they view the world. That's why, even absent of the distance that Oliver and Omni-Man have spent apart, they don't understand each other, a displacement leading to the rope of tension being pulled tighter and tighter. The Thraxan way of life favors the benefit of the group over the welfare of the individual, which is collectivism versus individualism. Omni-Man was not raised in an environment brewing with empathy, and relationships between Viltrumites were mostly defined as rivalries rather than kinship. Omni-Man even admitted it himself. It's not that he doesn't care about these things, it's that it's harder than he thought to reconcile because he doesn't understand them. You have a bluish bug child whose social compass relies on cherishing the time you share together with the one you love, and a Viltrumite whose mission is isolated and solely driven to tilling planets for the arrival and revival of the Viltrum Empire's race. A part of himself he's actively shedding. Those are two different cogwheels spinning in opposite directions. When there's exponential distance between core values and both have been starved of the time needed to reconcile their individual beliefs with one another due to Omni-Man and the big grocery store in the sky, you're left with nothing but resentment or confusion at why each person fails to understand each other. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think that Omni-Man was right to bury Conquest, especially in front of Oliver, and after he almost deleted his son? Was this more of an impulse in wanting to hold the fringes of what little loyalty to Viltrum he had left? Or was it just something out of honor? Invincible Season 4 Episode 6 captures the fractured relationship between Omni-Man and Oliver in more ways than one. Oliver appears extremely defensive to whatever and whenever Omni-Man even speaks a single word. And later, we find out that hearing the dad you praised and looked up to, even in his absence, call your bug mom a hoe and a side piece while you're clutching your pillow upstairs can brew some underlying resentment. It seems like whenever Omni-Man gets caught up managing this roster, the first thing he jumps to is, "Oh, I'm sorry." Well, let me say this, that is some sour muffins. Omni-Man, in his broken journey in discovering empathy and redeeming all the wrong he's done due to the innate Viltrum ways of life branded in him over the past 1,000 years, fails to understand the long-term effect that his actions have on others. He even admits straight to Oliver that he hasn't been a good father to him, and that even when he left Earth, he was lost. With that being said, I think we need to take a good word from Kratos when assessing Nolan's path to redemption and earning forgiveness for those he's wronged in the past. Don't be sorry, be better. It's the difference between one saying they desire to grow and someone proving it through action. As actions are measurable, objective, and parallel with the degree of sincerity, one holds those actions too. The path to growth is painful, treacherous, and requires long enduring hardships, some of which involve jostling and rupturing the bonds forged between one another. Omni-Man's attempt to pull Oliver into training is proof enough of this, though it is maybe more in line with his Viltrum side of things. in terms of how he expresses affection while in pursuit of learning empathy. It's a shared form of bonding between him and his son, and an attempt to try to pierce through the void created by the absence of his presence. In Invincible Season 4, Episode 6, we're met with this moment where Oliver and Omni-Man must find something nutritious and a substance for Mark to consume in order to take in his daily filling of macros, because as we know, a true Sigma always gets his macros in. And also, may I add, mogs the like button. Absolutely mogs the like button if they're enjoying the video and the content. To do so, Omni-Man and Oliver raid the eggs of this buff hive and beat the ever-loving shiz out of a bug. Omni-Man wants to delete the mother, which is the Viltrum programming bleeding through, versus Oliver, of course, who would rather simply take the eggs and wait for her to lay more, as they were the ones infringing upon her space for their own selfish purposes. This is a moment mirroring Oliver and Omni-Man's philosophy in which values should govern a society. Collectivism versus extreme and strict individualism masqueraded by militaristic collectivism. It takes consistent exposure, but Omni-Man's voyage of understanding empathy comes with picking up small pieces along the way and breaking out of the individualistic programming which calls him to measure the worth of a world or its beings by its strength, versus Oliver, who likely due to his Thraxan DNA shares the Thraxan's worldview of making decisions that benefit the population as a whole, which explains why he told Omni-Man not to kill the mother, as they were the ones technically infringing upon its space, and they had no further need to impart excess cruelty past their own just dues. It will be interesting to see how Omni-Man continues to evolve and crack the code of his Viltrumite programming, while simultaneously building and strengthening the bonds between Oliver and himself. Prior to Mark's waking, it did seem as if Oliver actively missed having the one-on-one time with Omni-Man in the end. In Invincible Season 4, Episode 6, the war is also popping and hopping. I mean, we got Space Racer absolutely just up in the blicky on a Viltrumite and blowing a hole through the hill. And I know we did not forget, where is the Great Betrayer? And then Optimus Prime Autobot drops this Viltrumite. I mean, but let's be honest, who knew the Great Betrayer was throwing hands like this? Listen, this man probably could have beaten Nolan's ass when he tucked him up by the collar and was like, listen, you could kill me if you want to. I mean, it's got me thinking that that was a question or a suggestion. The casualty of war was a huge focus point in this episode, expecting the unexpected. General Thragg brought Viltrumites and his army to rain hell on Telestria. Citizens were massacred following genocidal directives handed down by the Viltrumites to leave no one alive. The Great Betrayer projects the cold scaling of endurance and hardship required for war. You have to think about the war and not the battle, is what he says, I believe, which reflects the innate Viltrumite part that still dwells within him, but he knows the sacrifice is the cause for freeing the galaxy from Viltrumite rule, a point that Alan the alien understands, but at the same time calls for empathy in the aftermath of every battle and decision. It does call into question whether or not the Great Betrayer has ulterior motives for his Galactic Coalition war, which Thragg raised, and if he's placing just as much value on the lives as he is on the decisions he makes in sacrificing them in pursuit of the galaxy's freedom and autonomy. At the same point, we find there are still traitors nested deep within Telestria that are loyal to the Viltrum Empire, who were responsible for letting the defense down. So more than sacrifices, there will also be betrayals, it seems, in the episodes to come. The Galactic Coalition fended off the Viltrumites in the first major clash with the Viltrum Empire, but the question this episode in Season 4 seeks to ask, at what cost was the battle and war waged? Which we see live through Oliver asking, did we win? Followed by a shot of the war-torn damage following Viltrum's exit. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Will Telestria launch a successful counterattack on Thragg and the Viltrum Empire? You can follow my IG page at lvamps23 and other socials in the link below. If you want more analysis of your favorite fictional worlds or characters, go ahead and smash that like button, turn on that notification bell, and subscribe for more. The direction of progress is forward, and it's only up from here. With that, remember, if ever you're lost in a forest of your words, strip your mind from fantasy and look to the window of the world, and there your mind will run free. Thank you all for watching.